In this episode of the Homebody Podcast, we sit down with the one and only Erika Cramer, aka the Queen of Confidence. Now, if anybody knows this, Erika knows what it feels like to feel invisible. From a childhood marked by trauma, self-doubt, and hardship to overcoming the devastating loss of her husband, she has walked through the fire. But instead of letting her circumstance define her, she transformed her pain into purpose. Through her own journey of self-mastery and deep inner self-work, she discovered the powerful force of magnetism and confidence. Now, as a globally recognized confidence and mindset coach, Erika is sharing exactly how she does that in this episode of the Homebody Podcast, as well as her brand new book, Becoming Magnetic. I hope you enjoy this episode. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on this YouTube channel.
Erika, I am so excited to have you join me on the Homebody Podcast. You are one of my idols, one of the people that I absolutely cherish having in my community. So thank you so much for having you join me today.
Thank you, Anna. You're amazing. And I'm so freaking happy that we got to do this.
So I'm going to just dive straight in and ask you, why do you think so many people lack confidence in modern society?
Gosh, that is a big one. I think modern society is really hard. It's hard for us humans who I don't think we were meant to be like this. We weren't meant to be judged by thousands and millions of people on the internet. No one showed us how to use social media, which I really think should be a class at school. But before that, they should tell us about our thoughts and feelings, shouldn't they? They don't even teach us that. So I really feel like there's such a lack of understanding, communication, knowledge. And so you have human beings that have experienced trauma, whether they think it's big or not. I believe many of us have been traumatized in different ways, and we weren't able to reconcile that. And so I coach women who walk around wanting to back themselves and believe in themselves. They have all the good intentions, but the biggest thing that holds them back is that they care so much about how they will be perceived by other people. And so it almost freezes them and they don't show up as their fully expressed self. And then the other half doesn't know who they are or who they want to be because they've been told by their parents, society, culture, religion, Instagram, who they should be. And they haven't had a moment to get quiet and go inside and be like, hi, self, who are you? What are you about? What do you need to work on? So I feel like really it's a lack of understanding of who we are and what we've been through and how we need to look after and care for our internal self, our little self, our younger self, our 30-year-old self. It doesn't always have to be childhood. And then the second is we have such a fear of being seen and being made fun of or outed. As you know, our old brain that we have hasn't really been upgraded like our iPhones have been upgraded. And so I think more people need to do the internal work, the work that you talk about, the work that I talk about. And that's really why I believe we lack so much confidence. And then in there, of course, is comparison, people pleasing, blah, blah, blah. But I think the root cause is really us not attending to ourselves and us worrying what people have to say.
Yeah, isn't that funny? And I guess as humans, we are such, by nature, we're primal creatures, right? Being able to be accepted by a large group of people in evolutionary terms meant safety. And so if you amplify that to what we have now on social media and just being so seen by the external world, that's a lot to contend with, like trying to get everyone to like you. And I think what I resonated most with you and your work, and having gone through some of your programs myself, is that not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay. And finding your tribe as well is such an important part of that. And confidence to me was kind of figuring out who I was and the people that I did want to resonate with, and being able to let go of the others that weren't part of my tribe. So that's what confidence was to me, but confidence is pretty misunderstood. So let's kind of circle back and define, how would you define confidence in and of itself?
Yeah. So I am so sad. In my first book, Confidence Feels Like Shit, I didn't put this definition. But of course, as you know, a book is you frozen in time. And you can go back and change it. But I'm kind of happy that my Juanita Ghetto Fabulous, Erika from the streets wrote Confidence Feels Like Shit. And it was my self-published book. So I didn't have anybody trying to edit, which I probably should have because I went off hinge, but I didn't get to write the definition. And years later, I really dug into what is confidence? What's the definition of it? And I was really tired, Anna, of hearing people say like confidence and competence. And I'm like, yes, that feels like, of course, but it felt like such a basic answer. And so I found the root Latin word of confidence, like the definition of confidence. And it really gave me a paradigm shift massively. And then every time I share it, people are like, whoa. So hopefully you get that effect when you hear this, because I was just blown away by it. So basically the word in Latin is confidencia, and Latin is very close to Spanish. I speak Spanish, and in Spanish, the word confianza literally translates to trust. So we don't have a word in Latin culture for confidence as per the English language kind of calls it. Our word is, I don't have trust. I just got to build more trust. I don't have trust. And so confidence in this Latin root word is having trust in yourself. That's it, in your abilities. And I was like, whoa. So hold on. It's not that I'm not pretty enough, tall enough, skinny enough, have enough followers, have enough money, have biceps, a Maserati, whatever, cheetah print heels. It's that I don't trust myself. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, all I have to do is build self-trust, where are you currently breaking your trust? And so I would look at, if I snooze my alarm, and I know it's small, but it's the smallest. And you know, from everything you share, it's simple, small things that people go, no, it can't be that. Give me the difficult thing. I'm like, it's not. It's the easy stuff that we bypass. And so it's you keeping your word to yourself. It's when you say no and you mean no, but then you're like, okay, yes, I'll look after my sister's kids, even though I don't want to. And these are all the ways in which we break our own trust, and that breaks our confidence. And so if you want to build confidence, you just have to learn how to trust yourself again.
Yeah. And that is such a mind blown moment, because the simplicity of it is so beautiful, right? Like the fact that I guess we want it to be something external to us, but really it does take that internal work of going, well, where am I not trusting myself? And I think most people don't trust themselves fully. And it's why we get stuck in this like analysis paralysis and decision-making mode, and kind of trying to problem solve emotional problems that really can't be problem solved because it's painful to look at them or be really honest with ourselves. And so I absolutely love that definition. And you're so right? We want to make things as difficult as possible because it feels really difficult. But what I've found in my work, and I'm sure you've seen this in your work, is often the most simple like a route to getting to the end point is going to be the fastest, most impactful and quick way to change your sense of self, your confidence, the way in which you kind of navigate the world as well. And that kind of brings me into that next part where most people kind of think you either are born confident or you're not confident. But what you're kind of saying is, no, that's not how it works. What do you think? Do you think that some people are kind of born with a little bit more confidence than other people and they kind of strengthen that, or some people are born with less confidence, or do you think it's something that we all have to work on?
Yeah, I definitely think we all have to work on it. But I remember I got to interview Gary Vaynerchuk, and that was like a life changer for me, because he really was the person that slapped me out of my own lap to got me confident to start my business. And he said something like, the way that we're raised is so important, right? And I know you speak about this in your work, but you know, if you are in a family that encourages you and allows you to be who you are, and they add fire to the fuel. I think about my kids, right? I'm like, go be who you are, be whoever you want to be, and amplify yourself. And I can imagine that confidence for my children is a lot easier. My teachers, their teachers are like, your kids are so confident. I'm like, they better be, you know, like this is what I do. But it's because we encourage that. We're in that kind of family where we meet a lot of women, I'm sure you do as well, where they were told to be quiet, or in this family, we don't do that. And so what does that mean? That means I can't cry. I can't have my emotions. I can't be who I am. So I think that your upbringing and your family dynamic and the people that cared for you does impact that. However, I think I like to think of confidence like a practice, like meditation. You will never get to meditated. You know, you can meditate and then your daughter, you know, you step on a Lego or something happens to cut you off. And you're like, shit, you know, like, oh, there goes my Zen. Like, what happened to my Zen? It's gone. And so I think of confidence as like a practice, like meditation. Every day you show up and you're in this practice of confidence. And I don't ever feel, Anna, like I am confident. I'm not a confident person. I'm a person who practices confidence. I am willing to show up. And I kind of build these 5 steps as to how I see it, and very non-mind bending, or it's very easy and simple. Again, like we said, but I found that it kind of felt like a meditation. It's like the more I did it, the better it felt. Do I ever reach a final destination? No, there's no getting there. There is the now and the doing. And then a bird shits on my head and there goes my confidence right when I get on stage, or my high heel breaks. And I'm like, oh, my face goes red. That's what happens. And so I really think that it's a practice that we all have to commit to daily, hourly, moment to moment.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And I think people really need to hear that, because it's so easy to think like, I'm not a confident person. I never have been. It's not something that feels attainable to me. But as someone who was literally the most introverted human alive for majority of my life and could not hold conversations with other people, the way in which I started to kind of build my confidence was through these small actions. What do I keep a promise for myself every single day? How do I hold myself? I like created a checklist for myself to do something, to show up in a certain way. And now here I am having these conversations with people from all around the world and being able to kind of go out and be seen without that fear that comes up, that used to come up, that kept me really small, right? And I think what you said about your upbringing is so, so important, because my upbringing was, I was a very high achiever. I was kind of like the rebellious child, but I was never allowed to kind of share my emotions. My emotions were always too big. And it was something that as I got older, I became very insulated and withdrawn and kind of introspective. And I never wanted to make anyone else feel uncomfortable. So putting myself out there always felt like I was stepping on other people's space. Like, sorry, I don't want to burden you with my emotions. I don't want to burden you with this. And what I found is that you really start to like untangle all of the parts of these stories. It all just starts to unravel as you start to look at the really simple ways in which you have created the kind of box that you live in, right? And I'm sure you weren't always this confident, and seeing your journey kind of transforming yourself, it is that kind of titration in and out of this state of regulation into, and to me, confidence is such a sympathetic state, right? It's big, it's loud, it's this expression of emotion. So it's a very adrenaline fueled state almost that you can feel really excited about, because that's where it lives. But then being able to bring yourself back down into that nice calm state means that you kind of build your well of confidence up even more again. And so when you kind of reflect on your past, your journey to becoming the queen of confidence, what are some of the most pivotal moments that you have experienced that have kind of led you to this point?
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because I feel like I was the least confident person for a very long time. I would say at least confident and least magnetic person ever, which is so weird now looking at my life. But I think that it was really when I came to Australia. And I came to Australia and I realized that I was a foster kid. My dad left when I was young. I was sexually abused. I was physically abused. I was kidnapped. And then I joined the army for 10 years, married my high school sweetheart. He went to war, came back. He passed away. It was just crazy. So I just had when I play a video when I do keynotes and I see the story, I really feel this weird, who is that lady? But I see my face and I'm like, that was me. But it's my life now couldn't be any different from that past. But I did experience that, and that's in my body somewhere, and that memories are in my mind. And so I really firmly believe that the experiences you have, as horrific and painful as they may feel, and maybe if you're listening to me right now, you're going through something really that feels impossible and hard, and you're like, Erika, shut up, this is not a gift. But I'll tell you, there comes a time when you find that the horrible thing is the biggest gift, and it's who you become, the thing that taught you about resilience and this and that. And so I never looked at things, Anna, like who I became or this happened for me. I looked at this happened to me, that whole thing that people say. But then I started doing some work around resiliency, and I made a list of all the bad things that happened on my timeline. And then ahead of it, on top, I wrote, what did that teach me? And it was like, I learned I'm very vigilant because my house got broken into for 16 years straight, twice a year. So I hear a little, like my kid scratches his leg in the room next door. And I'm like, what was that? My husband's like, you're a psycho. And I'm like, or I am vigilant. And he's like, you're in Australia. And I'm like, whatever. I still am American. Okay. Like my wires are still looking. And that could be bad if it's not looked after. But I feel like I've really been able to work through it with therapy, with coaching, with shamanic healing, with somatic practice and retreats and things. And so I think all those terrible experiences happened for me to become who I am today. Without me paying money and going to retreats and getting mentors like yourself and myself now, there's absolutely no way that I would be the confident woman that I am today, or the person that literally, the one thing I've mastered is I give no shits what people think, because they're judging a version of me that lives in their head, and I'm not even her anymore. So like, it's a ghost. I'm like, whoa, you got me figured out when I'm literally evolving every day. I don't know who I am today or who I'll be in 6 months, but you think you know who I am? Fantastic. Good for you.
And that's why you're my spirit animal when it comes to, like, if I ever have any form of self-doubt or anything, I'm like, what would Erika do? And I just show up as that version of myself that doesn't give a shit about anyone else and what anyone else thinks. So you are my spirit animal when it comes to that. Like, listening to you, and I have a similar experience, like, bad things happen in life, and this is just my unfortunate byproduct of being human, like the human condition. I know how easily it is to kind of like rattle off these really traumatic experiences that have occurred in your life, but these all hold an imprint on our body and our mind, and they make us into who we are. And unless we kind of reassess and reframe those experiences, like your vigilancy, then we are kind of held down by them in a way that's going to keep us small without really putting them under the telescope and going like, what did I actually learn? And that's not to say that you have to learn something positive from something very traumatic that has occurred to you, but it does give you the space to kind of shift your perspective from being in a space of victimhood to one of being in a space of empowerment. And I think that's a huge part of it. But I think also we kind of tie confidence to this idea of like being really fearless, when really I think it's more about vulnerability and like being in touch with our emotions and being in touch with those experiences that have occurred to us.
Yeah.
How do you think vulnerability kind of plays a role in building self-confidence?
I really think it's freedom to me. That vulnerability feels like freedom. I think Brene Brown did such a favor to us sharing it on the main stage. But I also think, like everything, trauma. Now everyone's traumatized, and it can be a double-edged sword, because now vulnerability isn't just about you getting on Instagram and crying, right? Like, vulnerability is, are you being real and vulnerable to yourself? Are you open with yourself? Are you hiding or holding back or closing off or shrinking inward with yourself? And if you're comfortable and happy being who you are in the moment, I hate saying who you are, because who is that? We're always changing and evolving. So who you are in the moment, are you free to express that and be that? And if there's any little thing that's like, but what will they say? But what if that feeling comes up for you, then I feel like we've got a blockage with vulnerability. Because if I can be free in the here and now as I am, and I'm okay with it, that's going to feel free to me. And it's going to feel true because it's my authentic self right now. Now, in 5 minutes, I have my pity party. 5 minutes from now, I am not anxious. I am happy. I'm fulfilled. So I had anxiety 10 minutes ago, but right now I'm great. And it's like, I'm moving with the present moment, and I'm not labeling myself and keeping myself stuck in this box. As you said, it's like, I'm able to be who I am. And I firmly believe I had one moment of vulnerability. It was my one moment where I started being real. And I would say real, like the Erika that we know now was born in that moment. And my son was just born. I had a home birth. And the birth before that was a traumatic cesarean, horrible. And then I had a miscarriage. So I had my son, and my husband said that some other part of me was born. And I firmly believe we are also birthed in motherhood. I had my son, and I was like, I'm going to do my business. I'm going to do what I want. And I decided to get on social media. At the time, it was Facebook that was big back then. And I shared, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do this now. And this is who I am. And it felt really scary, because I watched that video a few times back, and I was like, wow, I don't seem comfortable being, air quotes, real. But I was like, here's me claiming that I'm going to be who I want to be now. And from that moment, Anna, I just feel like I allowed myself the permission to show up as I felt in the moment. Obviously respectful, kind, but just not putting it on for someone. The sentence that says, I don't want someone to think, I don't want them to think. It's like none of that. And so I started doing that. And I really, really believe that has become a little superpower of mine. And the people that follow me love that, because they're like, oh, I know you're going to be real and honest. And I feel like that builds trust. And if you're a leader or a parent or someone in corporate, people have to trust you. And so vulnerability to me is much more than just crying on social media. It's about you getting real with you. And then in turn, allowing that space to be true to whatever's coming up. And then other people see that, feel that, and then they come in with truth. And it feels authentic to me. It feels like authenticity.
Yeah. And I think all of these terms, and I'm going to circle back to something, so I've written it down so I don't forget, but I think all of these terms like confidence, vulnerability, freedom, authenticity, they become like huge buzzwords, and we can like think that we're almost like striving to be those things and almost creating like an armor around ourselves, like so we can create a persona to show up. And that helps for a certain period of time, but it's really unsustainable. And I think what you kind of touched on was how fluid, like it is like being in a mindful state all of the time. You're so present with what is occurring within your body. You are aware of what your thoughts are. You're aware of like how you are communicating and sharing yourself. And like I was just watching your Instagram stories before I jumped on this call, and you're listening to some really beautiful music and just like tears pouring down your face. Like that is like true expression of emotion. Like it's not forced, it's just real. And even you being able to go, I don't think this music is meant to be emotional, but it's really hitting a string, like hitting a chord for me. And I think that in and of itself, like admitting that you aren't really sure about what's going on here, but it's good to express your emotions and you're free to do that. And there's literally no fear that anyone's going to judge you for doing that. So I love the fluidity of it all. I think that's really where we start to kind of get to the core of what it actually is to just to be ourselves. And I think also sometimes we might get, I don't know if you've ever been called arrogant before. Have you ever been called arrogant before?
Called me arrogant, but I do think people are a little scared of old Erika because I was a bit bitch slappy. Because I don't get trolls. I don't know how, Anna, I don't get any trolls. And we have a lot of DMs. And I'm like, maybe the trolls are scared. I don't know.
You know what's funny? I used to get so many trolls on my comment section, and then I started responding to them and being like, "What? Like, where is this coming from?" type of thing. And I don't get any trolls anymore. And you know what? If someone's like, every now and again, someone will be like, "Nice nose ring," and I'll be like, "We don't talk to other people like that on here," and then like block them. And it's just like, people are just, I think they feel natural confidence from other people, and that can kind of keep a bit of a shield around you.
I think so. Yeah. Nobody's ever said arrogant. I don't know. I don't, but I also don't. Someone asked me once, what if a crazy lady comes to your event? What if a crazy lady books in to come to your retreat? What if a crazy whatever? And I'm like, I am the crazy lady. Like, no crazy lady's coming. I'm her. So, and I don't look for her, and I don't feel like I don't look for it. So it doesn't come where I think sometimes people look for trolls. They look for criticism. They look for, and I really firmly believe what you look for, you find.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also it's normal for people to get triggered by things that they desire or feel like they can see themselves in, or parts of themselves that they want to kind of express or share that they're not. And so to me, like trolling is just that insecurity kind of being expressed on an online space. And so I think if you ever were faced with someone like face to face, like you would handle that beautifully, because you had to probably take a few layers off of that person for them to actually see what was going on internally for them. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of touched on a little bit of like how we speak to ourselves and how we kind of shift these maybe thought patterns and beliefs that we may have. But can you kind of walk through a bit of like a practical day-to-day? What does that actually look like for listeners when they're kind of doubting themselves or not feeling that confidence? How can they quickly shift that?
Yeah. Well, I think that the awareness is number one. So if you're listening to this podcast, good job, because you're going to learn so much here, and understanding something. I don't know how my brain works in this space, but I'm very much, I like to understand how things work. And then it doesn't freak me out. Like I hate flying, right? Like I hate it, but my body is fully in a trauma response, which I know I'm getting therapy on that right now as we speak. But my mind's like, don't be silly. What? You were fine. So I listen to Diva Pramal. I do my breath work. I do my blessing and my grounding and all the things. And then my body at some point calms down, but it kind of does its own thing in the air. And I started to understand how airplanes work and the way the things, what is turbulence? And I know it's silly, but I had to really understand almost like I don't want to say the masculine, but like the framework and the way that it works to understand that. So I feel like awareness is such a great tool. I'm listening to your podcast, or I'm listening to people's podcasts that explain anxiety, trauma, the way your mind works. And so I really fell in love with Gabor Mate's work and Byron Katie's work. I love Byron Katie because she's very simple. She asks 4 questions, and it's something you can do when you're on the toilet or when you're driving or anytime. And so I found this as a mom, as of course I say when you're on the toilet, as a parent, that's like the only time we get to ourselves. Sometimes not even. So I found these really simple practices where I could inquire my thoughts. So first I was becoming aware. Second, I was like, why am I angry right now? Oh, I just spoke to my mom and she was a little bit upset and I must have taken on whatever she had going on. And so like, if you just do that, right? Whoever's listening, if you go, how am I feeling right now? Feel really pissed off. What just happened? My kid walked in and slammed the door and I made it mean that blah, blah, blah. Whoa, cool. If we just did that alone, we get the awareness, we understand. Now we can make a choice. How do I want to continue with the rest of my day or rest of my moment? And so for me, I really, as you said, I'm always thinking about how I'm feeling, how my body is. Am I biting my nails? Oh, I'm biting my nails. Why am I biting my nails? And not like, why am I biting my nails? It must be because, no. Like, interesting, biting my nails. Do I want to continue doing that? Yes, I do. At least I know I'm doing that. Or what am I eating? And so I just started to slow down my reactiveness. I was very angry as a child and all the traumatic things, as opposed to making me frozen, I was a fighter. My fight response was hardcore. So over the years, I've had to really, I was the aggressor in the drama triangle. You know, and I had to learn with the work you do and the work my husband does to really calm myself down and become here and now. And so it looks like a practice of understanding awareness and then knowing what's going on for you day to day. So I love journaling and I'm not a dear diary. That's not me. I'm like, I'm at the red light, like chicken scratch all over my office, like write on whatever allowed my hand if I have to. And I just go, how am I feeling right now? And I check in. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling, okay, cool. What's the sentence? What's the narrative? What's the story? And then I just try to understand myself as if I was my best friend. Like, this is a cute quote on Instagram. Treat yourself as if you were your best friend. But like, for real, do that. Like, let's really do that. And so I will listen, I'll check in. And then from that point on, then I can decide what I need to do. Do I need to go have a shower? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to exercise? And then I get to understand myself. And I really love Gabor Mate's compassionate inquiry process. And you can Google it or YouTube it. He talks a lot about it. And I went through the 12 months with him because for me, Anna, and maybe somebody else listening to this, I am a fast, no patience. Let's go. You talk too slow. Hurry up. Oh my God. And Gabor Mate's training, they were very slow. And I'm like, okay, are we done with the moment of silence? No. Okay. And it was such a lesson for me. And my husband's chill like that. So I thought, do I have to be chill? Do you have to be chill? No. But if I'm hype and energy and angry, I could deal with a little bit of chill. And if you're more chill, more introverted, more quiet, more passive, you could do with a little bit of spicy sauce. You know, it just helps to take a little on. And so that practice allowed me to be nice to myself, because a lot of people say, like, heal your inner child. You know what? I don't think it's just that. I think it's being compassionate to yourself at 4, yourself at 30, yourself yesterday. You know, somebody tells you off, it's embarrassing. Your cheeks go red. Can you be compassionate to that moment that you felt? Oh, but that's stupid. No, that's not compassion. My 8-year-old self was dumb. I'm angry at her. Well, that's not compassion. And so the minute we can really be compassionate to ourselves and get our world, get ourselves in that moment, then we treat ourselves kindly. Then we understand, oh, that's why you freaked out. Oh, okay, cool. No judgment. Just, I'm understanding you. And when you understand someone, what happens? They feel safe around you. They open up. You get more answers. And so you will give yourself more answers and you will be able to literally become your best friend and understand yourself like no one else. And I feel like that's the thing that causes to me the vulnerability and the freedom. Man, is this contagious in such a beautiful way? Because people then feel through your experience that they're allowed to do that too. And it makes me emotional. It's so nice. I don't even know if I answered the question. Sorry, I went off.
No, I love it. You said so many beautiful things in there. And I think, like, the first and foremost is we are so quick to be self-critical. Like, why am I feeling like this? Why is my body reacting? Why can't I just do this thing when everyone else is doing it? And I think the first thing that you touched on is like being really curious, and replacing that criticism with curiosity is like such an important part of like in fostering any sort of compassion for yourself. Because if you're not curious, then you don't actually care enough to inquire about yourself. And this ties into that quote, like being your best friend, right? We are so curious about the people around us. What's going on for you? How's your partner? Like, how's everybody going? How did that feel? It's strangers like, oh, I want to know other people's stories. I want to understand. Like, I worked in the prison system and I just absolutely adored reading the case studies, because it helped me understand how individuals had gotten to the position that they were in, right? And it just showed how much from the outside we don't understand about each other, but also how much we don't understand about ourselves. When we're totally unconscious and we're moving through day-to-day life, we kind of remove our ability to give ourselves the choice, like the choice to make a better choice for ourselves. And what you were talking there is like when you journal it down and you bring that awareness to like what is going on for you, then you can either go like, I'm biting my nails, but I want to keep biting my nails and I'm aware of it, or I don't want to keep biting my nails. Maybe I'll do something else. And that choice is everything, right? When you, it's like the only thing that is necessary and I think it's really important to preface this. When we have too many choices, we get really overwhelmed. But when we are self-aware enough that we go one choice or another choice, that is when we can start to make really, really beautiful decisions for ourselves and start to be really compassionate and start to inquire with curiosity and give ourselves another really healthy choice, an empowering choice. And what you said at the end there about it feels really emotional because then other people around you start to feel that presence and they attune to you, right? So they go, being in Erika's presence is so nice. It feels like I'm being hugged and I want to step into that confidence space. And I'm sure you've seen this like at your retreats, like people cry. Yes, I think worse. I cry. But people would come in there, and I'm sure this would be me as well. Like I'm still fairly introverted when I first meet individuals, but by the end of it, after attuning to someone who has that energy, I'm literally so loud and I'll be everyone's friend and I want to know everything. And that is the power of our nervous systems interacting with one another, right? That is the power that you going on this journey and finding this out about yourself and becoming the queen of confidence has allowed so many people around you to attune to your energy and feel safe in your presence enough to be curious and inquire about themselves and to give themselves choices that are going to lead them on a path that is going to just excel them in life.
Sounds over here making me cry. Oh my God. It's cry. Yeah. And it's so weird to even think that's, I genuinely, my husband and I have a joke because I'm like, my little heart. And she like makes fun of me because like, I can't believe I would like fight kids on the school bus and be crazy. And then I'm sure she's still in there, but I never pull her out. I never need her. There's this other part that's just like, I'm watching videos in a Facebook group of women joining and I'm crying because I'm like, that's a human that's joined this program to do this work with us. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm the worst. Like I just get very, but I'll have an event and people come to the event and within the first 5 minutes, someone's crying. Someone's like, I was sexually abused, someone, whatever. And the people are like, how does this happen? Oh, usually people don't do this. And I'm like, no, it's because you become a permission slip or you're the conductor of the frequency of the room. Like if you are perfect and perfectionism and so scared and so uptight, people are going to respond to that version that you are presenting. Or if you're open and funny and you're just welcoming and you're like, I messed up. Oh, well, sorry. They're going to be like, oh, let me unbuckle my pants. And so, it's like, I don't have to suck it in. And so I really, I love that you said that. And I'm going to take that and replay that because it's a beautiful gift that you just gave me. And it really touched me because I just want women to feel enough to unleash themselves, to stopping themselves. I don't feel like it's a patriarchy or it's your dad or it's your mom or it's the internet. It's you. You're your worst enemy. The person you need to overcome is yourself. When you do that, the world doesn't feel like a battlefield. Like, it's like, oh, what a beautiful place. But you are battling with yourself. And like, let's make amends with her, the lady in the mirror, And then there's freedom. And that freedom is contagious and people want to be around it. And then other people do it. And then this world becomes this amazing world where we're kind, loving, compassionate, understanding. We can I don't agree with you, but sending you love. Cool. How amazing, Less trauma, less jail. I'm so interested in knowing about this jail stuff. I'm going to message you about that later. Oh my God.
But like that sense of ease that you are talking about, like as someone who feels very resonates very much with my expression from going through a roller coaster accident was the fight response. I was battling everybody, I was battling myself. Everything was like, I am going to take this on and I'll beat you down until I win type of thing. And So I resonate so deeply with that, but it's so freaking exhausting to be in that state day in and day out. You wake up, you're like, all right, who am I taking on today? And it's generally yourself that you're taking on. But since being able to kind of go through my own personal journey of like understanding why my body is reacting the way that it is, and being surrounded by people like you and people through the internet, which is a beautiful gift that we can use as a tool, allows us to actually shift the way in which we are navigating the world. It is so much easier to live life and enjoyable even.
Yeah.
And I think that is everyone's right to experience that sense of ease and enjoyability of this beautiful gift of life. And I think that's what trauma robs us of. That's what comparisonitis robs us of, is the joy of being so bloody grateful that we are here alive on this planet and being able to interact and have these experiences. And I think that is something that what kind of motivates me to work is to continue to spread that it gets to be easy. It gets to be easy. Life doesn't have to be such a battle. And when you start to understand your nervous system, you start to inquire, you start to instill compassion, you start to build this sense of ease around yourselves. I have just, like, I can't shower enough praise on you. But
I love you. You're amazing. Just like, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking like the answer, old Erika would have just been like, Hamish, my husband, you're so slow. Oh, Anna, that sounds so slow. But like, I honestly feel like the answer is slow. You have to, I don't know, I felt very immature my whole life that I didn't get that like that. I think that's what Gabor Mate's training, and he didn't take all of the training. There were other amazing teachers and they just had a slowness and a stillness. And I was very young and immature going, hurry up, con, blah, 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 blah. And I think I know what you're going to say. And I don't know. And even if I did know, you're missing the space between the words and so just you sharing that, I just feel like it's such a gift that maybe comes with age and or experience. I don't know, or maybe somebody finds your work and there is a slowing. And consider if you're so fast, you're going to miss something. And so what are you trying to miss or stay away from that you're moving at such a speed and you don't ever stop or slow down? And then when you slow down, it's like you can't run from it because you're slow, like a sloth, and it comes at you and goes, hi, I've been trying to chase you, but you're so quick. Now look at me. Let's face this. It's like, I don't know. I just heard that when you said that about like how that would have been my younger self to be like, hey, it's okay to slow down and feel or hear or allow things to come to you, because when you move at such a speed, you can't.
Yeah. And that's a protective mechanism. And we know that very well. And like you said, slowing down is scary. So that is why it's like of utmost importance to have community around you and to have people like you and to find your space to kind of be seen and held in, to be able to slow down, to feel, because it does come up and it does bite you and it does hurt when you start to feel those things that you've been running away from. Before we kind of like round things off, I am so excited because I'm coming to Erika's. I'm actually not going to ruin it. I'm going to let you talk about something very exciting that is happening.
Best news you were going to share. I'm so excited to squeeze you. Yeah, so I have a book coming out January 14. Becoming Magnetic, which again, another book I never thought I would write about confidence and magnetism. And we have a big book launch party in Melbourne. And then we're doing a national tour around Australia. And that is just going to like, I've just got emotional thinking about it because I wanted to do that before and then pandemic happened. So I'm so happy to go and meet everyone around Australia. And then in May, we're going to America and I'm going to go promote it and do my Wayne Dyer trying to sell my book from the back of my car in the United States. And I'm really, really happy about this book. I feel like if books had energy, which I do think they do, but if this book had energy, it would have such an amount of energy of God. Like, I know we always say it's got blood, sweat, and tears in it, but 2024 was really difficult personally because my mom was sick and I was writing this book in the middle of this roller coaster of personal emotion and doing a TED Talk, getting a book deal, speaking, greatness, and then sadness, and in the middle was becoming magnetic. And so I really feel like when this book hits the airwaves to the people, it's really a practical guide. I never want to write. It is kind of like the anti-affirmation book, and it is taking the piss of put some crystals in your bra and burn some Palo Santo and love and light. And it's like, no, it's darkness, and it's taking radical responsibility and lots of tears. And so, yeah, there's 5 phases in this book around how you can become magnetic. I think magnetism is a beautiful thing we all have. And to spoil it for you, how I see magnetism is connection. That's it. I use magnetism to look at someone down the street and stare at them and say good morning, and they say good morning. Oh, and it makes, like, I'm not even looking at anyone right now, but I'm thinking about it, and it makes me so happy. And then I walk away needing nothing from that human being, hoping that they're blessed. And that is magnetism. It's like our bubbles get to intertwine and connect, and then more bubbles. And I just feel like we get this beautiful glowy aura that everybody wants. All these young people are like, I want an aura. And I'm like, listen, if you want an aura, you got to work on your stuff. And so the 5 phases are really practical. There's a lot of coaching exercises. There is no fluff. It is how to do it. And then in every area of your life, we break down how you can become magnetic as a parent, friendships, love, single ladies, business, money, and your career. And I think it's such a practical book that I just hope people not only read, but they action, because we all deserve to be our most magnetic, confident selves. It's our damn birthright.
I am so excited to meet you and come to your book launch. And if you and to feel that connection and magnetism that we get to share together as well. But for everyone listening, please, please, please do yourself a favor. Go and follow Erika on Instagram, social media. Check out her book, Becoming Magnetic, coming out on January 14th. You are just an unstoppable force, just a true human being to your core. You embody everything that it is to be human. And for that, I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate your time and energy and for sharing all of your knowledge here today as well.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up and doing all the work you do and all the free information that you give, because it's so damn transformative. Like, I know everyone listening, you could just follow Anna and just do the things she says in the videos and instantly feel more amazing and embodied. And so you are a gift, my love. And I'm so happy for your book and your success. And I just know that more and more people are going to be impacted by you. So thank you for doing the work you do as well.
Thank you so much, Erika.
Thank you.